Okay, we are on the air, so to speak. Of course, we have to wait for some people to get in here. But I'll start this moving around. Get the tool in here a little bit. See. There, like that, maybe. Okay, there's some people starting to come in. Good. So, good morning. Good morning to all of you, and thank you for coming in. And we are going to do a bowl turning, but I thought while I was waiting for you, I would go and correct a pin that I had been doing recently, and I was not happy with the thickness. It was too wide, and it was a different design than I was used to using. And so I thought, I'm going to take it apart and redo it a little bit thinner. So this is a actually it's a gift for one of my friends who is a fountain pen aficionado. So this is a fountain pen, and yeah, I thought I would make this a little bit smaller for so that it fit his hand a little bit better, and I wanted to show that you can do that. Um, You just have to be kind of careful about it. But you can take a pin apart that you've made, but then you see it doesn't fit quite properly or doesn't look quite properly, and you can go back and fix it. All you have to do is kind of pop off some of the pieces that you had attached to it. You know, if you had the pin pieces already attached, you have to be really careful. But you can take them back off. And I'm just going to kind of see where I'm at here. But once you take them off, you can use like a long piece of metal or something and pop off the cap. You can pop off the other pieces. I decided to leave this piece on because I didn't think it'd really affect it. I don't like to take them on and off too much because if you do, they could start becoming loose. But for this particular case, all I had to do was take the cap off. And that shouldn't be too hard to put back on. Meanwhile, I scrape this down some, and now I'm going to sand it down the rest of the way. This is 150 grit. I really want to get the center of that body a little bit small. This is the other part of it. And as you can see, it's beautiful, but I want it to be the same thickness, or maybe even a little bit less down on this end. Since this is the writing end, the other end is a cap. So being the writing end, you don't want it too big in your hands. So we're going to fix this real quick. Then we'll move on to the bowl. Just like I said, waiting for some people to get in here. If you would, please hit the like button and or subscribe if you haven't subscribed before. And feel free to write in the chat section. I like to know where people are from. I also like to know, can you hear me? So if somebody could just say, yeah, Jeff, I can hear you. Or yes, or something like that. That would be really helpful. Just type that into the chat section there so I can see it. I'd appreciate that a lot. Always want to make sure that you can hear what I'm saying. And there's like 70 or 80 of you in here right now, so I can assume one of you knows how to do that in the comment section. If you're watching on your phone, you can double tap your screen to give me a like. That's also helpful. Okay. So, we've got an initial shaping of this. And whenever you're sanding on a pen, after you're done sanding with a certain grit, go with the grain, create sort of a little bit of cross hatching. So when you go to the next piece, it will polish it out a little bit better. We're going to try this one here. So waiting for someone to say, yes, I can hear you. That would be very helpful. It's helpful to me. It's helpful to all the other people here too. If you can't hear me, then or don't respond, then I'm going to assume nobody can hear me. And we'll go from there. Yes, you can hear. Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate that. This is a piece of Purple Heart. Like I said, I was just making a quick gift for a friend of mine, but the other day, and I wasn't happy with the shape of it. So we're going to sand it down some. Problem with Purple Heart is it's a very straight grained wood, and when you are turning against it, you get these little there's just little tiny voids. It's almost like grass. It's very gritty. No matter how much you sand it, you can't get a really super smooth finish on it. You can if you're working on the end grain of it, but if you're working on a piece like this, it's always gonna be a little pecky. If you understand that phrase. And the pecky wood, it's just not gonna gloss over like you would if you had a really super hardwood, like an ebony or something. Ebony comes out very glossy. Paduck can be a little of this too. Sometimes you can get this with Paduck. It can be a little peckish at times. And I was not taking this down a lot. I was just taking down a little bit just so that it looked a little bit more pen-like and not so bulby. And I think you'll see what I mean when I reassemble this in a minute. And okay, now that's 400 grit. Now some people they go up to like 10,000 grit on these things. I don't get that crazy. I will go say an 800 grit here and see what this does. And you notice as you go to the different grits, you get less and less and less dust coming off because you're removing finer and finer grains of the wood. A lot less dust, but it's very, very fine dust. That's really the stuff that can get in your lungs too, so you want to be careful of that. Okay, feels really nice. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to put a little bit of finish on it. Uh, let's see, I got to remember what I used. I think I used a little tried and true on this. We're going to put a little tried and true on there. Kind of rub that in with my finger. It's all over it. And we'll take a little towel here. Okay. And get that kind of rubbed into it real good. We'll kind of friction it in a bit. Kind of go to mock Jesus speed. And polish that up a little bit. Okay. Yes, we will be getting to a bowl here in just a minute, so don't fret. Those of you that are tuning in here and saying, "Well, where's the bowl?" I didn't come in to just get a see how I did with a pen. I will be doing a bowl here in just a couple moments. Okay, I'm going to give them a little bit of paste wax on here. Let me pop my paste wax can open. Oh, oops, that's more than I needed. Put some paste wax on there. You notice the Purple Heart isn't necessarily always purple either. It can have kind of a mahogany color to it at times. Just kind of weird since you're paying for Purple Heart, but that's just what it does. And that should all feed the wood good and protect it. A little bit more. And then protect it. All right, that should do it. Now it's got a pretty hard wax finish on there that'll last for years and is easy to bring back up to polishing if you need to. Okay, we'll take this off of here and set this over here for the moment. Let me pop this out before I forget to. Okay. Everybody should always remember to put their tools back before they move on, or you'll screw something up along the way. Trust me, I've done it myself many times. And then you go, where did that other piece go? So I try to make it a habit to put my bushings back in the right bushing container and so forth. I'm not always good at it, but I try. All right, so what we're going to do here, let me get this off. What we're going to do is we're going to reattach this together. That only takes a few seconds, I hope. Once we get everything put away here. Okay, so we are going to put this fun little tool up here. And this is a pen press, or one of several different varieties of pen press. And kind of get so you can see that a little better. And what we're going to do here is we're going to press the parts back together, if I can remember just how they go. Okay. So this cap goes right back in here. And to do that, we just trying to do this with the camera in mind at the same time. Just press that. It's back on. This screws on right here. Here's the cap. Right. And now we got a pin that looks more in shape with itself. So that's our fountain pen. So just wanted to do that kind of while I was waiting for people to come on. And yeah, I'll tell you, these are really cool because if you have you ever never seen one of these, and you can make one for yourself, quite honestly. But the nice thing is you can adjust this part here so that you can have different lengths as you go. You can have it goes back further, goes back further. So if you take all three off, you can do a really long length of press, and it's completely benign. It does not hurt your wood pieces at all. You got the neoprene plastic for the part that touches the pen, and yeah, I've used mine for years actually. It's a really easy way to put your pins back together. So the reason we all got here today was for this piece right here. Oh yeah, I'm glad some of you have worked with Purple Heart before. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. Hey, Michael. Good to Michael Wilson. Everybody. One of our good friends of this channel. And I got up this morning. I came outside and it's foggy and about 40 degrees. And I thought of you, Wilson. I figured that's just your kind of weather. Foggy and 40 degrees. That's Fahrenheit, of course. Great, 100 about 100 viewers. Let's see if we can get 100 likes. Or please hit the subscribe button and subscribe. Would like to add some more subscribers and get up to our 4,000 mark we were shooting for. For those of you that are asking the other day, yes, my shoulder is much better. There, and get that in place there. Yes, my shoulder is much better. It's about 80% now, so we're not turning in pain like we were. Okay. Let's see if we can get more than 6 likes, though. We'd like to see that move up a little bit. We can. Okay. Oh, watch off. Don't like to have the watch on when I'm doing this. And let's see. I think we'll start with this one. I don't know how this is going to spin. Okay. Going to get a little wobbly. I know that. All right. Now we got a lot of things to deal with here. We got missing area here. We got a big indentation here. Obviously some sharp corners and some more missing here. So this is going to be an interesting piece. This is olive wood. It's probably like 10 out there. Okay, great. I know a lot of you are under the snow, so I'm not going to complain about what we have because it ain't snowing. Let's see if we can round this out just a little bit. There we go. And as you know, I like to come in from underneath and ride the bevel, so we're cutting under it instead of getting banged here. We're coming underneath and we're actually undercutting the wood a little bit. And it takes off those sharp edges pretty quickly, so we can start actually rounding it. Ooh. Get too sharp of the edge. All right. Okay. One thing I do want to show you is when you are approaching this and you're coming in from the back side, you turn the open face towards the bottom of the bowl. You follow this bevel right here. And what you want to do is you want to have your bottom of your tool down a bit, so you're kind of pointing it up in this direction here like this. Because if you hold it like this, all you're doing is engaging it and asking it to grab and pull you down. If you come in like this, you're scraping across it. You get a much smoother cut actually, but also you can remove more material without all that constant banging. I'm trying to get this corner a little bit. And what I'm watching when I'm doing this is I'm watching the top here so I can see where my cut's going. I don't watch down here. I watch where my cut's going so I look at the profile. And this is really pretty wood, as you can see. It's going to be a nice bowl, I think. It's pretty hefty, I'll tell you that. It's probably a good 8 or 9 pounds when I started. I'm going to try and do a push cut here. See if I can come in from the other way. A little bit. I kind of got to even out a little bit. Now I got to move my tool rest up. Every time you do that, you got to move your tool rest up another eighth of an inch to a quarter of an inch, depending on how much you took off. So remember to keep moving your tool rest up. You can also adjust your speed a little bit. Oops, a little bit. Oops. You want to keep your speed at just the right speed so you don't get hotter there going on the machine. What happens sometimes is you're cutting along and you'll get to a hard spot and you keep pushing at the same speed and then it'll slow down or lag on your turning. So what we got here? Let's see what's going on. Missing wet rain. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's probably talking Celsius. If you're asking, I'm talking Fahrenheit. But we all talk the same thing. It's cold and wet. So let's just leave it at that. Hello to the rest of you, and please hit that like button or double click your screen, double tap your screen. That would really be helpful. As you can tell, we're just getting little tips of stuff right now because it's not round. Once it gets to round, we're going to get curls. But right now, we're just getting this, sludge. Little tiny chipping. Olive wood actually turns very beautifully and very easily once you're turning in the round. Okay. See how we're doing on our round. We are round here. Big empty space here. We are almost round. We got a little flat spot. So once we get this flat spot done, we're done with the rounding process. And we'll be able to start addressing things like this. This might end up being a peekaboo in my bowl. I may end up just tearing that out from the inside when I'm turning the bowl. I am going to have to start sloping up a little bit too to take up some of this. So I think I will adjust for that right now and see what I can do on that regard. We also still have to flatten the bottom too. And that'll take a little of this out too. Yeah, let's see. How did that do? Yeah. I mean, no matter what I do, this is going to be in here, but I need to get in enough that I can make a tenon in here. So that's my big concern right now. How much do I have to take off to get a tenon? I can feel when I'm getting pretty close to round. And it's still got this little bit here, but you can feel it because it starts to turn like there's no break in the turn. Yeah, I can still feel there's still a little there. That means I'm still got a flat spot right there. But it's really disappearing on us quickly. Let me make tool rest up a little bit. Okay, let's see if we can take it one more pass. Oops. Oops. Yeah, see, we're starting to get ribbons. We can start getting ribbons now. That's the difference. Difference in those cuts. So this is where the flat spot was. So I think we're pretty in the rounded area now. We are now rounded. So now we need to just start shaping it a little bit. Yeah, this part here needs a little trimming. But now we're not being aggressive about it. We're just taking little thin movements off of here. Try and get it rounded down. What do you think? Now that's starting to look like a nice piece of wood. Yes, this is more olive. Yes, I seem to get a lot of olive, don't I, Michael? And if you would please, I have a lot of friends here that we turn regularly together and share a lot of information between each other. There's Mike at the Whacking Shack, and there's 77 Rockets with Ryan, and Timber Designs with Dave, and Case with New Beginnings. They're all in my descriptions. Mr. Michael Wilson here is getting his channel going, and Robert G is getting his channel going now. In fact, if somebody wants to put the connections up on here, that would be great, so that they can find your channels too. And please check them out. In fact, I mostly started my channel to help them because I had a little bit more wood turning experience, and it was just easier to do a channel than it was to try and answer questions individually. So I use the channel as sort of my way of teaching people new things. Let's see if I can get some light on this. There you go. Now we can see what we're doing here. Come on, take that off. There we go. All right. Now let's see what we got. Well, I still don't quite have enough room for a tenon. I might have to come out a little bit, take a little bit more off of this. My tenon's going to be right about here, and it'll be nothing supporting it over on this side. So I'm going to have to, unfortunately, take this down some. And that's just the nature of the beast. Almost wish you could slice this off and save that slice for something else, but it really wouldn't be worth a whole lot of anything. All right, let's go. Whoa! Just heard some pieces come flying off. So, see, now we're getting to where I can that would be almost enough. So, there we go. Now let's take a look at it. Now I'm going to have a crack, but I think I can get a tenon in here now. It's not going to be the strongest thing. I want to make sure I have a strong tenon because with all this stuff going on here, I don't want to have the bolt come flying off on me. So I'm going to be a little bit on the cautious side here. I know if this was Mike, he'd say, "What the heck? Let's go for it." But he's a lot younger than me. There's sketchy and then there's foolish. In this particular case, I think I'd be foolish. If it was a small piece, sure, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Also want to make sure that I'm checking back here, make sure my faceplate is on well. Okay, I think there's enough wood there now, although I worry about this a little bit. There's enough wood on here now that I can flatten this out with the skew and move on to the next section. Straighten out here. Do it in little sections. There we are. And we are getting pretty flat. There's a couple of spots here. Yeah, just a little bit more to make that flat, but now we got. There's all these little voids and different things going on in this wood. It was a burl of sorts. Olive is always kind of squirrely. You never know exactly where all the patterns are going, and the end grain isn't always end grain and so forth. But we'll get this straightened out, and hopefully we can get this in one piece. Let me see here. See if I can use my scraper here. It's a much less aggressive tool than the skew is for this part. It's just kind of catching any high spots. Yeah, that's nice and smooth now. Good. Okay. And we'll smooth out this outer edge here as well. Just to make sure everything's good. All right. Still nice and flat. Good. All right. Now we can put in our. So we're going to mark our spot here. I'm going to start with a marking right about here. Okay. I think the mark is out to here, but I just want to see where I'm at as I go in. This is going to be a really important miter. That's good enough right there. Okay, good. All right. And what I'll do is I'll just leave it at that. I'll make sure that's all defined. Let's see, am I deep enough yet? No, I want to go a little bit deeper. There. In this particular case, I want to make sure I got a really nice smooth finish there, because I'm not going to have much of a chance to go back and fix that if it isn't. So there we go. Would have been here earlier, but I had to get stuff packed for Christmas market. Yeah, I know a lot of people are either out selling stuff today. A lot of people are out there selling stuff today. A lot of people are out shopping today. This is one of the third busiest shopping days of the year, they say. So we still got this little break right here that came off. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to curve that out a little bit or not. Let's see. You know me, I like to play with the edges here a little. So I can refine this little edge. And it takes most of that out. A little bit more. There we go. All right. Now we're gonna go over here and make sure this outside part is good, and then we'll proceed to sanding and getting ready for the inside, going the inside. And bring it a little bit better. Right here. I'm looking at the profile up here, and it's just a little bit off. And it's always hard when you have that's getting hot. When you have a depression in the wood in the middle here, because it can really throw off you're trying to get a nice straight edge all the way down. Because it keeps bouncing. I'm not happy with that. Sometimes you have to kind of incorporate it into it yourself, because you're not going to get straight and flat. So let's look at a different way of doing this. If I cannot get this to go perfectly straight without having a little bit of undulation going up and down, what I can do is try and work this into it. I don't know if I want to scoop in necessarily. See what the wood's telling us here. It's telling us we got cracks we need to fill in. We have rough spots here. They're going to be sanded down. We got some bark. We got a bark inclusion. This thing has all the problems that you would normally encounter when you have real pieces of wood like this, not stuff that comes down from the wood shop or factory or something. This is something that they would toss out. This would be the cutoff that they would not send to somebody if you got this from a legitimate wood supply place, because they wouldn't want you to have to turn this. But I like this kind of wood. I think it adds character and it has a lot of potential. So what we're going to do here is we are going to put a little wood glue in here, as we always do. We're going to fix these now before we get too far along, as if I can get the glue to come out. All the fun of live TV with none of the benefits. That's what I like to call this. At one time in my life, I was a broadcasting major, and I'm glad that I changed from doing that, but I did work in radio and other media for a while. I had what they call a face for radio. It was a common term. And so I figured I'd go into business and all that sort of thing instead. But my time in radio was fun. Met interesting people. Did a lot of things that I can't talk about. Met some interesting rock stars along the way, and wannabe rock stars, and people that were never going to be rock stars. They all had their own little dreams going on. Okay, so I'm just doing the technique that I normally do, where I put the wood glue on. I go across the grain like it is right here. It fills in the gaps a little bit. It also absorbs the glue, so it helps the glue dry quicker. And when we sand this out, you won't even really notice that it's there. But it does kind of make it easier if when you're sanding and doing other things. And you want to use the really fine stuff. You don't want the big grains. You want those fine grains to get in there and set up. So we're going to use the knots to our benefit. The knots are going to be actually one of the high points of this, I think, as we go. Get a little of this off of me. Okay, got that. And I think I want to, I know I can't exactly address it, but I want to address this a little bit right now on the bottom because those cracks do concern me a little bit. Cracks can haunt you if you don't address them properly. So we'll address those right now too. And normally I would give these cracks overnight to cure and improve their disposition a little bit. But I don't have that kind of luxury here because we got to move on, right? But those will get sanded off when I am done with the bowl and take this off and everything. I'll be able to address those with a palm sander later on. It's just there to kind of get reinforced. Okay. This one's still fighting me a little bit, so we'll give it a little bit more glue. That's a pretty long stress crack. And they come from the pith. I mean, the stress cracks are a natural part of drawing when you have a pith. And I don't normally always keep the pith in. But in this particular case, olive really just has that much more character when you have all of that extra stuff going on. So let that kind of spin off a little bit. Here we go. Okay. Get that done. All right. And if you can, if you please hit that like button, and I'd appreciate it, or subscribe to the channel. That way you know when we're coming up with another live. That's how we notified the people this morning that we were doing a live, and we always do one on Thursdays as well. We always we may not be doing one on Christmas because it's kind of hard to get much of an audience together on Christmas, quite honestly. And I'd rather be spending the time with my wife and friends and family. So I think I won't be doing one on Christmas Day. But we may do one the day after Christmas or the day before Christmas. I don't know. Day after Christmas, everyone's just kind of goes out shopping and does other things, or they're running around. Of course, they might be also trying out their new lathe. So if you're trying out your new lathe day after Christmas, maybe we can accommodate that. What do you think? Had a year of radio and TV production at a broadcast school. I wasn't settled enough to be in college and an actor. Yeah. Well, I was in college, and you had to learn how to. I always remember one of the things you had to do was they give you like a 30-second script. They said, "Okay, you need to read this. The person's paying for 30 seconds of airtime, so you better make sure this lasts 30 seconds for this commercial." And that was you were actually graded on that, doing 15 and 30-second spots, making sure that you did your speed of your reading enough that they got their full money's worth. I always thought that was like really interesting that but it makes sense. If you're paying for 30-second spot, you have your name out there for 30 seconds, right? And I'm just gliding this across. I'm not really doing anything with it. It's not really changing anything. Just catching many of those little pieces. Okay, I think at this point we can go ahead and sand this outside. And yeah, I may still have to go back and do a little bit on the turning, but we're going to try and sand this down and see what we got. Okay. So the fun part, watching a guy stand here sanding stuff. I know it's not the most exciting. You like to see the chips flying, but this is all part of turning. There's like that. I'm going to get that nice rounded curve there. Work on that curve. And then we're just going to do it very lightly, very slowly. Sanding. I just realized I didn't put on my dust collectors. I did that. You love the sanding? Yeah, some people do. I mean, it can be very satisfying to sit there and just sand something. It's a little bit like when you're using hand tools, right? Now this sands up, olive sands up very nicely as far as taking the sanding and smoothing things out very quickly. It does that very well. You can also show little stresses if you're not careful. And I'm going over those parts where the cracks were, and I put that where I put that glue in. I want to make sure that it doesn't show that I glued it. I want it to look more natural. And you won't even see where they cut the glue. Part right here. The nice thing about this technique for dealing with the cracks is that if it's done properly, it's nearly undetectable. I say nearly because nothing's perfect. Yeah, that's feeling good right now already. I think I'm going to get in there and get to that bark while I have the opportunity here. There's a lot of bark pieces that need sanding, and you can't get to that with the sandpaper all the time. So I use this. It has the bristles on it, nylon bristles. Yeah, sanding does bring out the two colors. It also brings out the movement in the wood. I'm gonna push in all the little holes and nooks. I'm going to leave this piece to look rugged. I mean, I don't care. I'm not going to have to fill in every hole or anything like that. But I do want to smooth out the wood. I want to knock off anything that's going to be flying at me when I'm turning it. And this also makes it a little smoother to the hand. We don't have those rough edges on there. It takes off a little bit of that roughness. Just put this up here too. Now we might have somewhat of a live edge at the end here too. I hadn't really considered whether we would do that or not, but there's maybe a partially live edge pull. You might leave that bark that's up here, at least some of it. Wow, for only being at about 80 grit, that already feels really nice. Now this is about 150 grit on the bark, but that's an 80 grit on the other part. Yeah. It's already feeling pretty good. So I think when we get to the higher grits, it's going to really feel smooth. So let's go to 120. I'm going to reverse this. You see the dust going right into the dust collector. There we are. Even at 120 grit, it's going to feel real nice. If you get up to 240 or 400 grit, it's going to feel like the polished it already. Olive wood smells great when you're turning it. It smells like olive oil. It turns very nicely, even with all the movement in the bark and everything. It doesn't fight you too much. Versus I say that I don't know what I'm going to encounter on the inside. It has a lot of movement and a lot of color. When you put the finish to it, it's really going to pop, and you're going to see that in just a minute. You're going to put the finish on here, and you go, wow, look at that piece of wood. So don't run away yet. I know a lot of you are coming in and out. Don't go away yet. This is where it's going to really start to capture your interest, I think. When you get this, there we go. Okay. Let's vacuum this off just a little bit. And one of the problems with these remote on-off buttons is that they sometimes don't want to go off or on. I'm going to vacuum this just to get some of that dust out of here before we start putting a finish on it. You don't want that clogging up the finish. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. Get some oil on here. And you're going to see this just really start to pop. Now you can see that grain. What do you think? Excuse me one second. My cat. I'm the only one that's at the house right now, and I think my cat wants out. Maybe not. I don't know. Thought I heard him. Oh, well, then I will. Might have been the neighbor's cat. I don't know. But if you don't want to leave a cat in the house by himself if he wants out, because if he wants out, he's going to let you know in no uncertain terms. Anyway, sorry for that. I had to let this dry just a little bit anyway, so. Yeah, I'm bacheloring it for a few days. And so it gives me time in the shop, but it also gives me more responsibilities around the house. Okay, so there we go. There's a. I think I got into all the spaces and places. Wow. Making a bowl or a cup. Well, this is my hand, so it's going to be a bowl. If it was a cup, it'd be one heck of a large cup. But yeah, I mean, you can do that too. But it's hard to get scale. I know if you don't see me up against something else. But I have very large hands, and this is a good 6 inches or so on the bottom here, I'd say. So that's about where we're at. Okay. Ugh. Okay. So please hit the like button or subscribe if you can, like I said, or double tap the screen, and check out some of my friends and their channels in my description. There's Mike at the Whacking Shack, and there's Soldier Farms. There's 77 Rockets, and well, I got good morning to all of you. Um, and let's see what else we got going on. Olive wood is pretty. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So this is going to be a bowl. And normally I would shape the bowl, but the olive wood has so much character to it, you really don't need to shape the bowl like you do other bowls to create interest. Just seeing this is enough for most people. They see all that and they go, wow. And they don't care that it's a straight edge bowl on the outside or not. Other bowls where you have kind of boring wood, like the one I did the other day, it was a Modesto ash. I put a little movement to it. Pardon me, I just dropped you guys. Just dropped you as off my. Let me see if I can find you. Drop the microphone. Yeah. Well, if you can't find you, I'll just have to get another microphone. I will do that. Hang on 1 second. Don't stay buried. I'll find you. Okay. Funny thing is, I saw the microphone fall, and now I can't see where it went. I don't want to spend your time digging around for it. I'll just make sure I don't vacuum it up. That's the important thing. You vacuum it up, and I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. But we'll find it later. Okay. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. Yes? Olive wood rolling pin. Wow, that's really cool. And probably pretty pricey too, I would imagine. Okay, I'm going to wipe this down now. Just had a chance to sit on there for a few minutes. So we'll wipe this down. At a slow speed. And we just wanted this to get into the wood a little bit, penetrate it, bring out some of the color. Which is kind of crowd pleasing if you say that. And then we'll go from there. Okay. And it does penetrate pretty well. Okay. There we are. Now, I'm going to vacuum up just a little bit here if you'll permit me. Simply because we're going to be making enough of a mess here later. I don't want it all to be in the way here. Just a real quick cleanup, nothing great. So how many of you have finished all of your Christmas shopping? I actually finished wrapping the last present yesterday. Got most of my cards out. And it kind of feels good to have it done a little bit early. Because now when I see sales, I can look for stuff for myself. After many years of marriage, I know there's some things my wife is just never going to see in order for me. So sometimes they run specials on some wood turning stuff this time of year, and so I order some of that stuff for me at the same time I'm ordering all the other presents, and it seems to work pretty good. I don't have to wrap them. I just when the presents come in, when something comes from Amazon, I say, "Oh, that's a package for a present. You can't look at that, honey." And I go and I take all the stuff out of there I don't want her to see. That's her presents, and I also take out all the stuff that I bought for myself as a present. And I think she's on to me. I think she figured this out. But that's kind of how how you can sneak a few things for yourself. It's not like where Chase got a new bandsaw a month before Christmas and has to explain to his wife why he needed a new bandsaw. But and you can't really sneak a bandsaw into, without somebody noticing, unless they just never come out to the shop. So, but just a helpful hint from a guy who's been married for 40 plus years, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Okay, let's mount that up. Whoops. Oop. Ah. Okay, I'm going to very, very slowly see how this is running. Running pretty true. Okay, you don't want to over crank it. You just want it to be on there nice and tight. Okay. When you over crank it, you cause the wood to spread apart, and then you can have issues. There's that. There's that. Okay, everybody. Tighten your bones a little bit here. This is where it gets a little sketchy at first. And you get to see just exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to use the carbide. Since I got it in my hand here, I'm going to use this carbide first to see how out of flat are we on the bottom here, on the top here. Just going very slowly. Not wanting to cause anything to come flying off. Just want to kind of see where it's hitting. Okay. We got a lot of bark here that we're going to have to go through, and that's the part that's going to be a little bit sketchy. We're going to pick the speed up. I'm going to start with an initial right about here. Whoa, you like that. That little part right there, that little bend up right in the middle, really concerning me. Be really careful right here. I really don't know what's going on with the bark. So we're going to take a peek here in a second. Yeah, I'm only turning at about 500 RPMs right now because I'm just getting a feel for the wood. I don't want to make any strong cuts at first. I'm not pushing in with the tool. I'm just kind of letting the tool guide me across. Now see here, I got this big, huge divot that showed up. Okay, and that's what I'm worried about. Yeah, I don't have. Well, I don't have a loud ass video, but there's a reason I don't have a loud ass vacuum. One, this dust collector is a very good one, but also my vacuum is actually only runs at about 60 decibels because of the system that I built. And I've showed that in other videos, or you can go on my channel and check out my video on making a quiet vacuum cleaner. My vacuum is normally about 90 plus decibels when it's out in the open. But with the way that I have it configured with the, I built a chamber for sound to remove the sound, and I lost none of the vacuuming, and I lost about 30 decibels. So if you want to see how I did that, you can go to my the channel here, and you can watch that video. It's a very rough edge here, so I want to very lightly smooth that off a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I might need just a little bit more on that, but I want to keep this bark, and I can even keep a little of that bark, but it's going to be a kind of a rough edge, and I'll probably I can sand that off. I might be able to sand some of that off. We'll see. Let's see. I don't want it to catch. That's what I don't want it to do. Now we know we got that big hole in the middle here that I have to deal with. And I'm wondering, I can't really bring the tailstock up because it's not going to support it much. This is beautiful. I wish I could keep it, but that's obviously going to all turn away. Too bad, because that's a really beautiful piece in there. Yeah, if you're going to want to be building one, take a look at it, Johnny, and if you have any questions, you can get back to me on that. I think you know how to reach me. I'm going to kick up the speed just a little bit. Whoa. Doesn't like to be approached that way. Okay. I'm going to have to really finesse to get in here. This may take a while. I'd like to just get in there and just plow through this, but with that bark occlusion in there, I don't dare get too aggressive because it can grab at any time. That felt a little different. Felt a little different. That may bottom out there, but this is going to go way in here, I think. I'm going to have to go in about another inch or so before I get in. And it's right in the center. So there is no center. That's kind of part of the problem. So I think I'm going to try and pour that out just a little bit. And yes, I could use a Forstner bit to go through that. But what's the fun in that, right? No, I mean, I really could. I could use a Forstner bit. Definitely would be another way of doing it. And normally I'd be going in here with a gouge and I'd be taking really nice curls off the wood, but there's no curls to be had right now. And this right here is keeping me from getting really into the wall like I'd like to. Yeah. Let's kick up the speed. Let's see if that does anything. But that also creates more force. So if you do get a catch, it's going to be that much worse. If you're adding to the force being expressed on the outside of the bowl. Whenever you're doing something like this, you don't stand in front of the bowl. You stand out here facing the bowl. So if it comes off, it's just going to go like this and not hit you. Okay, so let me try that a little bit. That build is probably something I did back around, I don't want to say May, maybe. It's a while back, and I think I did both a short and a longer version of it. It doesn't show the whole build, but what it does is it shows all the components to it. And the biggest part of that was the sound chamber. So if I could give you the quick answer is you make a box basically that you can put your vacuum in, and then you want to have a part in the back where where you have your exhaust from your vacuum comes into the top of the chamber, and you have pieces of wood that break up the sound waves. And by breaking up the sound waves, it comes out the other end a lot quieter because you don't have these straight sound waves coming through the system and going right back out into your shop. It doesn't affect the volume of air or anything else. It just breaks down the sound waves. And it's a very effective way to reduce the sound of your vacuum in the shop. And I think when you look at the video, and I've also done it on a few of my lives, I might do it at this one too, if you stick with me. But right now I'm just trying to make sure I don't knock this piece of wood off my let's see, its color's changing a little bit, so I think we're getting, yeah, see, we're starting to get past this a little bit now. Still got quite a hole in there to go through, but it's getting a little more solid wood. But I'm also getting out past my tool rest a little too much, so I'm going to have to bring that in just a little bit. We're a little bit closer to our work. That's nice, huh? I see some curls finally. I just have to be very careful not to get aggressive. We're going through this. I hope we don't encounter another one. If we encounter another piece, we're going to have more problems. Now, see, I'm getting almost underneath that now. It's a beautiful piece of wood, but unfortunately, it's going to be gone. You can see the color changed again, and it went dark. So that usually means more bark again. So I'm not quite sure. I'll get in there. Again, I want to see what I'm getting into. Boy, every time I get down there, I think I'm getting more out of there. I'm not really getting more out of there. So I know this is this. So this may go another inch deeper. I'm not sure. Sometimes you can get clues from the outside. Sometimes you can't. In this particular case, I can see the branch that's coming in. As I said, this is a piece of olive that, I think this is another piece of the olive that my neighbor was going to toss into the fireplace. And I said, no, don't do that. Don't ever do that. Let me have the olive. Hi guys. So, anybody still hit that like button? I think I've got about 62 likes. But we've had a couple hundred people in here at a time. So please, please hit that like button or subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. Double tap your screen. And conversation, the comments, you know, where you all are from, where you watch the video from. You know, the other day I had people from New Zealand and Hawaii. I have Germany, Indonesia. I mean, I get the demographic, but it's just kind of nice to know who I'm talking to and where you're from. Now I'm starting to get some really pretty figuring in here. Look at all that. So I don't always turn with a carbide tool, but this one seems to be screaming for using a scraper, which is basically what a carbide tool is. It's a scraper. And I didn't want to just use my scraper for the whole thing, so I'm using the carbide tool to do it. But normally I would probably pull out like one of my big scrapers and give it a shot. In fact, now that I say that, I wonder can I use this in here? This is like the Mac Daddy of scrapers, an inch and a half scraper. And I more use this for platters and stuff like that. Yeah, it doesn't really give me the control I need in the edges and stuff. But it's a monster tool. Okay, well, get this out of the way. Yeah, it's still a little wet. This is still a wet piece of wood in some regards, and that's cool. I think I'm going to switch my rest at this point and get one that's a little more built for this particular part of the turning. I need to get that up just a that went too high. Trying to get that nice in between is always tough. Let's see how that works. It's a little dry. There we go. Trying to keep this from cupping in too much as I go. You can see the beautiful color green that we got going on in here. I'm gonna keep pecking away at that wall a little bit. But I know I'm coming down to that part where I've got that big hole in the side. And I'm going to be careful when I get into that. Okay. We are about halfway in here. And see, the colors keep changing. The design keeps changing, but it's still always interesting inside here as we go. But we're past this hole, and we're now getting down to this one. And this is going to be the one where I may end up with a peekaboo if I'm not careful. And I also may need to look at how do I this. I'm trying to be conscious of that as I go down here. Because this is still kind of thick. I'd like this to be a little thinner, and I'd like the outside to be a little more cultured, but I'm really careful about not wanting to grab something or break off all this bark. So that might be something I just have to address with sanding. I don't like to do it that might be how I have to do it. But on the inside here, see, the problem is I'm trying to narrow this down a little bit here, come around, and I don't want to tear out all that bark. So I've got multiple issues going on here. I really don't like that chip here. I'm just gonna have to take on too many problems at once here. I have to keep cleaning this out a little bit so I can actually see where I'm cutting. All right, this is going to be a beautiful bowl. Just not sure what's going to happen when I get to here. I'm right here right now. So I'm just about to go into that. So I got to be really careful as I get in there. As I get more into the middle of this, I can tell there's a little more green wood in here than I expected. So as I turn this and as this dries, it may warp slightly. I don't think that'll be a problem because if it does, it's going to warp out and kind of look kind of cool. So I'm not too concerned with it. It could crack if I'm not careful with the finish and so forth. So oh, that's not good. I don't like that sound. I think I'm too far away from the tool rack. I'm gonna start getting that sound. Good morning to the rest of you there. Now there's Max. Please feel free to get in there and sign sign up. Hit the like button if you would. I'd appreciate that. I keep trying to adjust so that I'm in there but not touching anything. That's the problem a lot of turners have, especially new turners, is that they don't stop. They just keep turning. And you have to adjust your equipment. You have to make sure, you have to know what you're turning into. You have to look at the wood. But you also need to adjust your equipment so that you have the best support. As you're turning. I want to take a little measurement here. And I'm still not quite there. I'm like right here. Right there. And I'm not seeing it on the inside. So I may have just picked the sweet spot. I don't know. I don't want to say that until I'm sure. What I may end up having to do is just slightly. Because if I can avoid having the window, I'll avoid having the window, and I'll take a little hit for not having as thin of a bowl as I could have. If I'm reading this bowl, the pith is here. We're now below the pith. We're getting into this territory here. But if I can curve it in just a little bit as I go, I may avoid making that window altogether. If I can make it a smooth transition, it may not be something that you notice that much. But I do need to get much further down into the bottom of the bowl too. So I think for the moment, I'll concentrate on that. And then I'll worry about the sides. So I think for now I'm going to focus on getting into that middle and not so much on the sides. I don't want to neglect it entirely. But I think what I want to do is make sure I have a smooth transition to the bottom, which I do. There's a little spot right there I can fix. And I'm right about there in my bowl. So I've got about another inch to go in depth. And the pinch technique is really good. And yes, you can use calipers, and I still recommend using calipers to get a real good, accurate measurement. But your fingers are a pretty good gauge when you can reach them in there. They're a pretty good gauge on what's going on. Your hands are a wonderful tool. And it's something that we sometimes don't utilize enough. I mean, the tool lets you know, oh, there's a little bit of a bounce right there. It's not smooth, okay? It'll let me know that, okay, if I'm pinching my fingers together, that's about where I'm at. Okay? I can't tell you the depth this way. That's two different hands. But if you're using one hand, you can pretty much tell exactly where you're at. this is the most exciting video you're watching here. But would still appreciate it if you hit the like button. Oh, hi, Bakery Babe. That's my wife watching. So my wife watching with her dad. So I'll say hi, Dad. Also, enjoying his visit with my wife up in Oregon right now, and well, I'm glad you guys are watching. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer here. Trying to get in there without touching the wood. It's a challenge. Going back to that outside, the side cut every once in a while. Taking a little bit more of that side off, or at least smoothing it out. You don't want to go through. See how we're doing with that. We are now down. You're now fist deep. We are about right to here. I got just a little bit more that I can do. And I think I'm going to use my bigger scraper for this instead of using the carbide at this point. I think that will smooth out that curve just a little bit better for me. But I need to get some light in there. You see how that scraper just really take a lot of wood out of there at once. See if I can, I'm sorry, let me see if I can get you down in there a little bit better. And watch what the scraper does. Scraper goes in, and just kind of curls that wood. I'm not pressing on the head, but kind of ride over it. And I press a little bit as I get towards the keep taking a little more of that center out. Okay. I think we're about the depth we want to be. I'm going to just do a quick gauging here. We are right about here. Yeah, I can maybe go one or two more times. And then that'll be about it. So. Widen that out just a little bit on the bottom. Okay, got that smoothed out. Got that in. Got a whole fist in that bowl now. That's a big size bowl. Hey, handsome, nice bowl. Thanks. I'll accept that because my wife is prejudiced. And Dad says hi. Hi, Dad. Okay, so I'm going to stick with me just a few minutes here, if you would, Dad and wife, and we'll clean this out and we'll put some finish on that, and you can see what that looks like in there. Okay, so just stick with us a little bit. Okay, I gotta sand because it's bothering the heck out of me. I gotta sand this down and see what I can do with this because it's just bothering the heck out of me the way this looks on the outer edge. Yeah, let me pull back a little bit. Let me see. Okay. We make those little bitty lines there, soften it a bit because it's just a little harsh looking. Yeah. Don't mind having the bark, but I don't want those little chip out pieces showing. Okay. Now we will go on the inside. We'll angle down just a little bit. Nope. Can't do that. Too much chance in the bark. I guess I can't do that. Alright, now I can start going on the inside here. And this is going to be a beautiful wood when we're done here. For those of you that stuck it out and stayed with us while we were doing this, I want to thank you. I think it was worth it. Let me get my, I'm sorry, let me get my dust collector on here. A little rough spots there. Now I'm trying to get them. We managed to do this without going through this. It's right there, and we managed to go through it without having that pop out. I'd call that a success. I'd call that a big success, actually. As rough a piece of wood as this was to begin with, I think we dealt with most of the challenges pretty well. Let me get to the next grid here. reverse this. Okay. Here we are. And we're just going to finish it off with this 240, and then we'll be done. We'll put the finish on it, and we'll get to see what this looks like. There. And that's really important. We just add not much more to that semi-live edge bowl. It's not really a full live edge bowl, but it's kind of partially live edge. Okay, guys, this is where we get the pretty stuff. So, okay, mask off, and hopefully all of you can see this. We're gonna vacuum. Let me vacuum this off just a bit to get the stuff out of our way. Vacuum the inside and the outside of the bowl. And for you, Johnny, you can hear again how this is not a very loud vacuum, but it has all the suction that you expect. I was very proud of the build I did on the vacuum, so I appreciate you mentioning that. Okay, there, I got it clean off enough for now. Clean off the rest, but let's put some oil on this thing and let you see what it's going to look like. We've got just enough, I think, to finish this bowl, and I'm going to be done. Gonna have to make some more up. And as I said, this is a little bit green, not really green, but you could feel it. There was moisture in it, so it will probably warp out a little bit. I think that's just going to add to the overall character of the turning. If anything, the way I've got it turned here, it will probably actually enhance the look because it'll look oval in the top while remaining it round at the bottom. And that's generally what happens with these things. I know a lot of books tell you don't leave the pith in, and they're absolutely right. You should not leave the pith, the pit of the center of the piece of wood, in most of your woods because it will create problems for many of you. But There are certain woods, and this is one of them, where I've worked with the pith a lot of times, and it just came out staying looking gorgeous. So experience and really understanding the wood, all that really goes into that whole process. And I think you can see now what we're kind of trying to achieve here. I'm going to let that soak in for a minute. And this will make a nice base finish, and then we can go back with some carnauba wax or some honey bee wax or something like that afterwards, and buff it out. I don't think this will be a high gloss. It could be. I mean, I could spray it with lacquer, but I just don't really like spraying an artificial product on. Well, not artificial. Lacquer comes from trees, but I just don't like putting on a spray finish on something that I think can just feel natural, I guess is the way to put that. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. And good morning to you. You got here just in time. Got here for the best part of the turning. This was a challenging piece, I got to say. And I'll kind of give you the flyover here, so you can see it from the top a little bit better. Almost looks blue. I don't know why it's coming out blue on the screen, but it's not blue, it's black. There you go. Please, if you're still in here, please hit the like button or subscribe if you like this piece, if you like what I did with it, if you learned something. Please show your love, so to speak, and give us a like. Double tap the screen. If you're watching on a TV, there should be a little like button you can press down there. If you're watching on computers, you can hit the thumbs up button. If you're on a phone, you can double tap the screen. Those all work. Or even better, subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when we're doing this again. Because we like to do these 2 or 3 times a week. Second time I've dropped the microphone today. Sorry about that. Okay. But yeah, please subscribe if you can, because that's how we build the business. We want to get up to 4,000 subscribers. We're getting really close, but it's been a little bit harder lately to get subscribers. And so if you've been watching any of these videos, I'd really appreciate the support. It kind of helps us. I don't get product placements or anything like that. I don't go out looking for companies to help me promote a product or anything, and I wouldn't promote anything that I didn't like using. There's some people that I would not mind promoting, but I don't get any special treatment from anybody out there. I just do this because I want to help teach others some skills and some proper ways of doing things, and just kind of mentor, get more people interested in wood turning. I'm also a mentor with my local group. My local group of wood turners, the Sequoia Wood Turners, and they're a great organization. We have, well over 50 members, active members in the group, and that's in an area where there's not much in the way of fancy trees. I mean, we're in middle central California, where it's mostly fruit trees and nut trees and things like that, and olive. I mean, so we do have some beautiful wood to turn, but you don't think of it as like the hardwoods of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley and places like that, where you think of a lot of wood turners being, um, or in the Carolinas or Virginia, places like that. You would think that there'd be a lot of turners, and there are, but there are not as many organizations out there. And it could be for a number of reasons, including proximity. Maybe people are just too far apart. I don't know. Or they're just too busy. Maybe they're just too busy. Anyway, we we got that bowl done. So let's take it off of here and take a peek and see what we got. There's the bowl. Okay, so there's the bowl. And you can tell me what you think. I think the inside of that came out really nice. I think the fact that we avoided this huge hole by bringing it in a little bit in the bottom instead of just trying to go straight down the sides like you normally do. Again, it's all, you're an artist when you're doing these things. I don't want to call myself an artist necessarily, but you are the creator, and you're creating the visual you want. In this particular case, I don't mind being a little bit thick. I don't mind it being a little bit chunky because I think it just kind of goes with the piece. You had to work with what was there. I mean, look at all these voids and everything else that are showing up. And I think just giving it a real nice finish, and it's a perfectly usable bowl for, whatever you want to put. You can put nuts, candies, um, remotes. You can put anything you want in it, really. Flowers. You can put a bouquet of flowers in there. I think that almost anything you want to put in there, it would work. So, any other comments or questions that we can answer here? I'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, we've been on here for a little over 2 hours, and um, I don't know if there's anybody else here that wants to jump in. You're certainly welcome to ask questions. But if there's not going to be any other questions, I will probably just go ahead and finish this off. Oh, I do want to show you again that pin from earlier today. I did. If you guys missed that, I was finishing off this Purple Heart fountain pen that I did, and this is going to go to a friend of ours as a Christmas present. But yeah, so went back and refinished this one off a little bit more, and I'm sure he'll appreciate that. This is actually going to go back to the neighbor that provided the wood in the first place, because I got 4 or 5 other bowls off the wood that he gave me, and so I figure I need to give him at least one piece back. I always do that. If somebody donates wood, I give them a piece of wood back as a bowl, because I wouldn't have been able to make the bowls without them. So I think that's only fair. And hopefully you guys do that too. I think you should always give back to the people that help you with wood. So, all right. Well, I appreciate your time. Um, and wife, if you're watching, or dad, if you're watching, I'll talk to you guys real soon here. But I got to clean up this mess. Big mess to clean up. And we'll talk to all of you real soon again. And if I don't see you before the end of the holidays, please have a Merry Christmas, or um, be with your family and friends. And we will talk to you in a few days. Thank you. Bye bye.